Hello, welcome to Highcats Leadership 360. This is your friend Daniel Kwame Pobi welcoming you on behalf of the Highcat team. This is where we discuss everything leadership. We discuss how we grow ourselves in our leadership, and this is Leadership 360. In this episode, we are looking at the attitude of discipline. The attitude of discipline. For a period now, we've been looking at those attitudes that leaders are supposed to have, helping us to reflect and to check which areas do we need to improve, which areas do we need to strengthen, which areas do we need to lift up our game so that our leadership can bring the necessary impact that we want to see in the space where we find ourselves. And in this episode, we are looking at one of those, the attitude of discipline. And we're going to look at what is discipline as a concept, a term. We'll look at the spirit of discipline, and then we'll look at what is the source of discipline. Where does it come from? Where does discipline come from? And then we'll look at motivation and discipline and how they relate to each other. Motivation and discipline, how they relate to each other. So these are the areas that we'll be looking at in this episode. I believe it's going to be worth your while. If anything resonates with you, I want you to put that in the comment and in the chat there. If any point touches you, you want to share with the world and let the others also know. If this is your first time you are joining us, I encourage you just subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on that bell button so you receive notifications from our site whenever we put something up for you to enjoy. The concept of discipline. Now, in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, the Apostle Paul had this to share with his prodigy, Timothy. He says, "For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline." For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline. That is from the scriptures, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. And what we're saying is that, friends, one of the key attitudes that true leaders have is this concept that we are looking at, that they have a strong self-discipline. True leaders have a strong self-discipline for their life. Now, genuine leaders understand and appreciate. True leaders, they know that self-discipline is indeed the manifestation of the highest form of governance. It is the highest form of governance. Self-governance is the highest form of governance that you can see. And so the true spirit of leadership, cultivates a spirit or that self-control that allows one to regulate your focus and also helps you to order your life. Now, if you're an individual and you want to make an impact, there is a certain self-control that you need to cultivate, and that helps you to get the focus that you need for your life, and it allows you also to order your life so it achieves the kind of results that you want to achieve. Now, anything worthwhile, anything worth achieving, you need a certain orderliness for you to get to where you want to get to. And self-discipline is that attitude that allows you to keep and maintain your focus, and it also allows you to order your life the way that it's supposed to be. Now, what is discipline? What is discipline? We're talking the attitude of discipline. What is discipline? Discipline, we want to define that as that self-imposed standards and restrictions motivated by a desire that is greater than the alternatives available. Let me take that again. Discipline may be defined as self-imposed standards and restrictions motivated by a desire that is greater than the alternative. Now, what it means is that there are some alternatives available. I'm picking it from the end. There are some alternatives available, but there is that which I desire, that which you desire, which in comparison to the other alternative is greater, is better, is more rewarding. And so I choose that alternative, that reward, which is greater than the other alternatives. And now, because of what I have set ahead of me, that desire that I have set before me, I impose, self impose, I personally choose to impose certain standards, certain restrictions upon myself because of the desire, because of where I want to get to, which in comparison to others is far greater. So, if for instance you're a student and you want to make you're writing your exams and your final exams and you want to make a certain grade, you want to hit a certain mark, you impose certain restrictions and certain standards upon yourself. Those restrictions will include how much time you are going to spend studying and reading. How much time are you going to spend sleeping? How much time are you going to spend in group discussions? How much time are you going to spend also in thinking about and psyching yourself for even the exam that you are going to write? Now, these are restrictions you place on yourself. Sometimes you will know that food is good for the body, but when you have eaten up to a certain level, you are not able to study, and you place a certain restriction on yourself and say that, for instance, instead of two slices, I'm going to have one slice. Instead of two balls, I'm going to have one ball. Or instead of a ball, I'm going to have half a ball. So I place those restrictions on myself because I want to make a certain grade, because I want to make that first class. Now, that is in relation to school and in relation to academia. But in the professional world, in your career, there are some restrictions you place on yourself, and you want to ensure that you are excelling on your job and the profession that you have chosen for yourself. You put yourself through certain standards and ensure that any report that has my hand in it is going to turn out in a certain way. It's a standard. And you just make sure that you are maintaining that standard. I was having a conversation with someone this week, and they are planning a program, and they were just in a conversation, and I was saying that if this is what you promised, this is what you announced, that if participants sign up, this is what you are going to provide, then you have no choice but to provide same, even if the number is less than you have initially anticipated that you are going to get. So if you ask people to register for a program that is going to cost 100 CDs and you're expecting 50 people, now you have 10 people, and because of that, if you share the cost across, it's going to cost you more to provide the same level of the standard so far as what you promise is concerned. And because of that, you are thinking of maybe reducing the amount of material you are going to print out, or reducing maybe their lunch or the beverage or the refreshment that you are going to provide. And I was saying that if you do that, it comes to haunt you in future because your credibility is at stake. So, friends, what we are saying is that discipline as a concept is that I have chosen to place certain standards and certain restrictions on myself simply because of a desire, simply because of where it is that I so desire to get to. And I place those restrictions and standards on myself so that I will not fall to the other alternatives, so that I won't have the other alternative that I have decided to let go. I'm not going to have those in my life. So this is self-imposed. Okay, it is self-policing. You police your own self. Now, the nature of discipline is actually self-management. And this self management is regulated by a certain code of conduct in keeping with a set of goals. So you keep a certain code of conduct that is going to guide you because of a certain set of goals and commitments that are dictated by the intended result or the desire that you have set before you. So, what we're saying is that because I want this desire, because of this results that I want to achieve, I place on myself a certain code of conduct. Now, that code of conduct is supposed to regulate my life. It's self-management that is regulated by this code of conduct that I have chosen to place on myself. And all that is just in keeping with a certain set of goals and commitments that are dictated by the results that I want to see. So you realize that discipline is a series of decisions that are prescribed by a certain end, a determined destiny, and a determined destination or where it is that you want to get to. And that is what gives you the discipline that we are talking about. So now let's talk about the spirit of discipline. What is the spirit of discipline? The spirit of discipline is rooted in self-control. The spirit of discipline is rooted in self control. We have not been given the spirit of timidity, but we've been given the spirit of power to do what we want to do, the spirit of love. So we choose to love God and to love people, and the spirit of self discipline. That is what we have been given. So the spirit of discipline is rooted in self control. Now, this is a fruit of the Spirit. Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. Now, leaders live with this understanding. True leaders, they live with this understanding that he who cannot control his thoughts will never control himself. If you are not able to control what you think about, what you keep in your mind, you will never be able to control yourself. Now, he who cannot rule himself will never be able to control his life. And he who cannot rule himself will never be able to rule a people. If you cannot control yourself, you will eventually be controlled by others. Others are going to control you. If you are not able to keep yourself in check, someone else will come and control you. Someone else will come and keep you in check. And this is what lands some people in certain restrictions, because they could not place the restrictions on themselves, so they determine what it is that they want to see. I often joke about it and say that personally, I know that when I take food, a certain food which is called Gary in Ghana, it has a certain effect on me. Now, when I take it, I start reducing in size and start growing lean. But that is my father's favorite. Gary is my father's favorite. For me, that is not my favorite. And so I often say that if you choose to eat it as what you want to eat, it's less difficult to eat it than when you are forced, when circumstances and situations force you to eat that. The same thing. It's about life. Life is such that if you choose to do something, it is easier and enjoyable compared to when circumstances and situations force you to do what you would rather not do. Now, if you don't control yourself, someone else is going to control you. Other situations and circumstances are going to impose the restrictions on you. And at that time, it's not going to be pleasant for you at all. And that is what leaders know. Leaders know that the most powerful kind of control is self-control. Now, the most powerful kind of regulation is self-regulation, because now it's the hardest to do. It's powerful, but it is the hardest to do. But you also know that the benefits and the rewards are greater when you are able to self-control. It is difficult to master, but what you reap is greater, or is the greatest of rewards that you can get if you self control and if you self discipline. But what is the source? What is the source of discipline? Now, you want to take note of this, because vision is the source of the leader's discipline. Vision is the source of the leader's discipline. Why do I say that? Scripture has said it that where there is no vision, the people they perish. In other versions, it says they cast off restraint. So if there is no vision, there is no restraint, there is no control, there is no regulation. If there is no discipline, if there is no vision, people do anything at all that comes to mind. Now, discipline is what leads to personal transformation, and discipline is what ensures that you turn out the way that you want to. And vision is the source of discipline. Vision is also the source of leadership, is the mother of leadership, because whatever you are going to do and achieve in your leadership, it is a vision, it's a goal, it's something that is a target that is set before you. Now, man or woman with a clear vision lives a very focused life. Any man or woman that has a clear vision lives a very focused life that requires strong discipline. If you meet anyone that is making any impact, you will see that in their lives. Why? Because vision chooses your future. Vision chooses how you use your time, where you spend your time. Vision chooses what are your priorities. Vision will determine your priorities for you. Your friends, vision will do that. The material you read, vision will choose that for you. The kind of vision you have will determine how you use your energy. What are the hobbies that you have? Vision will determine that for you. The movies that you watch, the things that you feed your mind with. Vision determines all these things. Your diet. Look, people want to attain a certain height and they put themselves under rigorous diet just to maintain a certain shape. Recently, when Cristiano Ronaldo signed up for Manchester United, one of the comments I heard from one of the players playing for Manchester United is that now everyone is watching what C0 is having on his plate. When you go for meals, everyone is checking what is he having on his plate, and then they also decide what to have because he has maintained a certain diet to keep his performance at that level, at this level, and at his age. Now, vision chooses where you invest your money also. Vision chooses your to-do list. What are you going to do in a day? Your attitude towards life. Vision will determine that for you. Vision also chooses your lifespan, because until you have expended and achieved what you are supposed to, you don't get satisfied. And that keeps you going, that keeps renewing your life and your vigor. And so usually when people don't want to grow old, they get fresh vision for themselves. So they renew their strength. You know, if you can see like the eagle, you will renew your strength. Vision has that power to renew your strength for you. Vision chooses your life. Your vision will choose the kind of life that you want to have. I remember in those days when I was a student at the University of Ghana. Look, to make a certain class, to get to a certain level, I had to put myself through rigorous restrictions just to maintain a certain way and standard of studying that I can deliver and make the grade and the class that I want to make. It doesn't come on a silver platter. You will need to discipline yourself and put yourself through certain restrictions to get yourself there. Now, let me talk about this whole concept of motivation. I'm talking about motivation and discipline here. Now, if you study people who are at the pinnacle of any sector or any sphere of life, you will recognize that motivation, that motivation to carry on probably is about 1% of the formula that gets them to the top. It's just about 1%. You need motivation to get started. Granted, you need that, but it is discipline, focus that will keep you at it until you achieve what it is that you have set for yourself. So I just want you to see the role of discipline so far as your motivation is concerned. In the formula, motivation is probably about 1%, and you need discipline to keep at it. Discipline is about getting it done because it needs to be done, not because you feel like it. If you want to make first class, you don't feel like studying before you study. It is required. And so you will study. I remember at the university, a friend of mine, if things are not going too well for him, he will get off the desk and run around on the compound of Commonwealth Hall just to get his eyes cleared again. He comes back to sit because there is a goal to be achieved, and discipline is it's that is what gets things done. You ensure that you are doing what has to be done because it needs to be done, not because you feel like it. So you see that motivation is a starter, but it fades away. You need a deeper will and commitment to see things through, to just see things through. And that which you need is discipline. That which you need to see things through is discipline. And that is what we are sharing with you in this episode, that to manifest the leadership spirit that is within you, to manifest that out, you must cultivate a disciplined life. You need to cultivate a disciplined life, a certain life that will regulate your thoughts, that will regulate your actions, so will regulate your activities for you, and it's going to be based on the results that you desire for your life. The results, what you want to see, the goal, what you want to achieve will determine the kind of discipline and the kind of restrictions that you place on yourself. Now, the spirit of leadership, therefore, you will see, is a spirit of discipline. I said the spirit of leadership is a spirit of discipline. I believe this has been worth your while, and I encourage you stick with us, share this video with your friends, and let them come and join our growth patterns on Leadership 360 that HiCard is putting together. If this is your first time, subscribe. Invite others to also subscribe, and share this video with your friends on all your social media handles. Share and let people come and join us. Also share your thoughts with us. What is your take on this topic? What do you think about what it is that we have just shared? And until we meet you again in the next episode, it is take care and bye bye from the HiCard team. We wish you the very best in your life and in every endeavor that you are undertaking. Stay blessed. Bye bye.